What's up, family? It's your boy, Pastor Chris, and we're back for another episode of AMP. Apologetics, music, perspective. I am so grateful to have y'all back, man. Super excited about what we're going to talk about today. Again, it's my goal to charge your faith and hopefully change your life. And I'm excited about what we're going to talk about. So let me give you, I guess, some context about how the theme of today's episode came about. So for my birthday, right, which was the day of our last episode, I decided to engage in some self-care, and I was gifted some time at the spa and got a massage, much needed. Your boy works pretty hard, but then they put me in this recovery room. The recovery room was interesting. There were only two things in the recovery room. There was this sauna that was super hot, and then there was a cold plunge, which was super cold. I got in the cold plunge. I could only stay in there for a certain amount of time. It was freezing. Then I hopped in the sauna, but I could only stay in the sauna for a certain amount of time before I started sweating profusely. Here was the point. As I was sitting in that sauna, I realized that room for me was proof that nobody is designed to live in extremes, right? That extremes are meant to be visited, not to be lived in. And I thought about the fact that, man, we live in a world where people live in polarizing places and spaces. We live in extremes. And because people live in such extremes, we've lost one of the most beautiful things in the world, which to me is tolerance. I think tolerance is one of the most beautiful things in the world. And that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about tolerance, man, and learning how to tolerate people who have different ideas, different beliefs, come from different backgrounds. And the reason I want to talk about it in this space, man, because, this is a space where we are unapologetically about our faith. I think one of the things I'm seeing in the world that really drives me crazy is the most intolerant people in the world claim to be Christian. And we use our faith as a weapon against other people. We use our faith to keep us living on extremes, as if the Bible seems to affirm that we're supposed to be so intolerant. But I don't believe that, man. I don't believe it. And here's how we're going to do this. I'm going to, like I did last week, like we'll do every time we gather, the charge up segment is a text. And this text is something that I need all of us to abide by. I need this to be your verse until we get together again. This is from Romans chapter 12. Y'all know Romans 12, and I love the book of Romans. The book of Romans is, for me, one of the most important books of the Bible in terms of Christian theology and Christian living. Romans chapter 1 through 11 seems to be all about understanding the theology of our faith. And then as Paul transitions to chapter 12, it's about the way we live it out in practice, not just understand it in theory, right? And so Romans chapter 12 kind of introduces us to how we live theology out. It talks about, presenting yourself as a living sacrifice because of what Jesus did for us. It talked about how we should serve each other in the body of Christ. And then it goes into this section about how love has to be sincere, how we hate what's evil, how we cling to what's good, how we're devoted to one another in love. But here's the verse I want to focus on today. Romans chapter 12, verse 18 says, if it is possible, as far as it depends on you, live at peace with everybody, right? Like, our responsibility as believers is to, if it's possible, to live at peace. Here's the way the NRSV says it. If it's possible, so far as depends on you, live peaceably with all men. It is Paul saying it is our responsibility to be at peace with people. For some reason or another, we live in a world where everything seems to be about finding things to be at war with people about. You dress this way, you listen to this thing, you vote this way, you lean this way. And so we pick reasons to be at war rather than find reasons to be at peace. Everything in our world is so polarizing. Everything in our world is at such extremes. And because of that, everything in our world seems to be a debate. People who claim the same faith can't even live at peace about the same subject. Bro, it's old news now, so I can bring it up and not be, well, I hope I can bring it up and not be irritated. I watched Christians fight for 2 weeks on social media about a dress that none of y'all put on. It wasn't in your dress. You didn't even get invited to the event. But for 2 weeks, I had to watch y'all debate about a dress and pick out all the flaws instead of finding reasons to live at peace. What are we doing? Like, what are we doing? And it just reminded me, man, there's always something new. There's something new going on now that we're debating. Guess it was a few days ago, maybe a week ago or so, when everybody starts debating about a social media skit by a comedic guy, and everybody debating. And instead of finding ways to live peaceably, we're finding reasons to argue. And Paul's like, no, that's not what we're called to do. Listen to what the text says. The text says it this way. Peace depends on you. As far as it depends on you, live peaceably. You know what that means? That means that it is your responsibility to choose a path of a peaceable life, even if the people around you don't choose that same life. I'm finna help y'all. I'm finna bless y'all real good. As much as it depends on me, I live peaceably. That means I don't have to engage in your debate. I'm talking real good on this podcast today. My soul is happy already, and we're just getting started. I actually don't have to offer my opinion because I choose the path of peace over the path of being right. We like to argue too much. We want to be right too much. We feel like it's our responsibility to offer our commentary and throw our hat into the ring in charged subjects because we think that's what we're supposed to do. But Paul's like, nah, your real responsibility is to live peaceably, right? To live peaceably, not just with people who you agree with. It does not say live peaceably with those who you agree with. It says find a way to live at peace with all. That means even people you disagree with. I don't have to make a fight about Buddhist monks walking around in public. I don't have to agree with them to live at peace with them. Right? Listen, y'all, tolerance, hear me, write this down, write this on your notes, write this in your heart. Tolerance is not about changing your convictions. I'm not telling you what to believe strongly about. I'm not telling you that the things that are of importance to you shouldn't be of importance to you. Whatever your core convictions are about life, man, hold fast to those things. Tolerance is not about changing your convictions. Tolerance is about changing your posture. Tolerance is about having my convictions, but choosing a posture of peace instead of a posture of conflict and feeling the need to argue my convictions to people who don't share the same convictions. Y'all, I am a diehard Dallas Cowboy fan. And I don't care who's not a diehard Dallas Cowboy fan. It is my conviction. And I don't have to fight somebody who's not a Cowboys fan because they're not a Cowboys fan. It's my conviction. I am a Los Angeles Laker fan in a Dallas Maverick city. That does not mean you have to be what I am. I can have my conviction. I don't have to force my conviction on you. We're going to double this back in the PowerPoints in a little bit, but today's episode is all about tolerance, and it's all about learning to find common ground and live at peace instead of finding reasons to argue. So I'm so excited because I got one of my closest friends, my brother, on the episode with me, and I'm gonna introduce him in just a second when we come back. All right, family, I got my brother with me. We are, jokingly, we tell people we are the real Tommy and Ghost. This is my brother from another mother. Even though you can't see the similarities, we see the family resemblance. This is my brother, Jeremy Donovan. Bro, thanks for joining me.
Absolutely.
Thanks for joining me.
Also known as the White Wesley.
That's right. He's been adopted into the family. And I brought Jeremy on this episode because we talk about tolerance. We talk about, finding common ground. I think our friendship is probably the perfect example of it.
Yeah.
So for anybody that's watching that has not seen us interact, that does not know us, how would you describe our friendship to people who are listening?
At first, it was figuring each other out big time, but I tell people all the time, I think the thing I'm most grateful for outside of just what a good friend Chris is how much I've grown and learned from him because of our differences.
Yeah.
And it's changed my life. I'm sure a lot of you watching can think of those few relationships that you can look on and go, wow, that has impacted me meeting this person. And I think that's what describes it the most for me.
Same for me. So, when was the moment, it probably wasn't gonna take long. We talk about like seeing things differently. What was the moment you realized, oh no, me and this dude don't see anything the same, or we don't see stuff the same, and this is going to be rocky?
Yeah. I think, gosh, I'm trying to remember back because there was so many like incredible national moments.
Yeah.
But it was definitely through the political realm. I honestly, from what I remember most, our biggest thing was how do you vote Democrat if they believe in abortion? Because I was always raised, I hate to go right there.
Yeah,
but,
no, we here.
I was raised like, that's all you vote on.
Yeah.
And so I just could never understand from the white evangelical world, how could you even do that because of this one issue?
Yeah.
And so the way you explained, there's a lot more in the, it really started to make me think I'm still against abortion.
Yeah.
But it made me really begin to think like, man, and let me be clear on that I believe in God's grace. I don't want anybody to feel bad if they've gone through something, but I think there's better options out there.
Yeah. Bro, so fun part, we could call it fun now, about the genesis of our relationship is I was forced on Jeremy.
That's true.
So Jeremy was a pastor at this church who ran what is in a lot of spaces called like the next gen department, and they forced me on him to be the high school pastor. And so
I was like, who is this guy?
We come out of totally different worlds, totally different backgrounds. They throw me in because of some relationships I had, and literally I come out of nowhere. And it's now y'all who know me, right? I'm not much of a ease my way into anything. I walk in and who I am, and Jeremy's my boss from different worlds, different cultures. Yeah. And it was like, yo, this dude is a lot, and it was crazy, right?
Yeah, it was.
So talk about that, like, because I think part of the complexity for us, even in the genesis of our relationship, was that we thought differently about all types of things, especially
ministry, everything.
Yeah, and it was a politically charged time too. So my first staff meeting, I tell this story all the time. My first staff meeting at the church we were at was the day after Freddie Gray was murdered in Baltimore.
And I hate to say it, I was trying to think of which murder. I remember the staff meeting, and I didn't want to, but there have been so many murders, I couldn't remember which one it was. But I remember there was something that happened on your staff meeting. Yeah.
It was the rise of this kind of real polarizing politic, that we see in America now. It was kind of the rise of that. and we're sitting at a table having a conversation, and somebody walks up to the table that's not part of the conversation. It's like, yeah, what's wrong with those people? And I'm like, I'm ready to snap.
Yeah.
Like, and so to that point, a lot of our relationship, we're talking about ministry and differences, different viewpoints in ministry and different giftings. Like, I think that's why we work so well together. Now we realize that the differences help make us work.
Yeah.
But like back then, it was like, there's one way to do it over here, and I think there's another way to do it, and then we got all the political stuff going on. And so I think part of the genesis of our relationship was almost like you felt like I was forced on you, and we navigate through all that stuff. But I think one of the things that's helped us is through all of the differences, we get to the point where we realize we got shared human experience.
Yeah, and I'd say this too. I think that if you would really just sit down with people, I realized through my relationship with you, we don't really have that many differences. We both, even though we thought we were on different sides, we both genuinely care about people because of Christ. Yeah. And so I think if you would just sit and talk like we did, and we've had hours and hours and hours of hard conversation, which is also something people aren't willing to do. They just want to get mad at each other. Yeah. And I want to thank you for that. You never got mad at me for stuff that now I look back on and go, why did I think that way? And you never got mad at me for that.
Yeah, bro. Yeah. That's grace, man. And we have it for each other, because I came in on some really hard line things too. Like, really, we walked into a relationship really on different sides of these conversations and trying to love people well while we were all trying to figure out that stuff. I say this, because
you would tweet stuff and people would be calling me,
bro,
and I'd be like, I don't know.
Bro. I was so reckless. And I'm only saying that it's funny because Paul's in the room. Paul, Paul and JB do a lot of production stuff. They both know us really well. And Paul was like in the middle of a lot of this stuff too. And I just kind of laugh about the fact that, like, I remember feeling like, in the words of a song in the culture, it's cool when other people do it. It was a problem when I did it. So like, if somebody tweeted in support of one thing, everybody celebrated. And when I tweeted in support of another thing, I was demonized and they were ready to fire me and take my phone. But that led to some of those real uncomfortable conversations and kind of allowed us to pull back the layers on, this is why we have different perspectives.
Right.
And I think for a lot of the things we talk about, like you said, we have way more in common than divided us, but we had such different experiences.
Exactly.
The more we got to spend time learning about each other's backgrounds, we learned about each other's perspective. I think one of the coolest things for me in our relationship, and I think this was probably one of the biggest turning points, was the day I finally like brought you into my world and into my space outside of work. Like, we came to the church one day.
Yeah.
Like, we were still on staff with the other church.
Yeah.
And you were like, wait a minute. Wait.
What are you doing?
What are we doing here? But just,
and now I'm here working for you.
How the table's turning off some joke. But like, the things we get to experience as we're doing ministry with people, as you're seeing the plight of people that are in the space, it's like, that makes sense. And then the more I'm sharing space with people who I'm not in the same demographic with, I can say, no, I can see why people think like that, because that's all they've been exposed to.
Yeah.
And the more you try to lovingly expose people to different things, the better it gets. So do this for me. Tell me what the word tolerance means to you personally.
I think for me, tolerance is more than just saying I'm going to put up with what you believe. I mean, I think that's what a lot of people think as well. I'm just putting up with what Chris believes. No, tolerance for me is I love you enough to understand what you believe and maybe even shift my belief some.
Yeah.
I had to come to a place in my life where I realized all of my experiences and what I learned in life may not be the full truth. And in fact, they aren't. It was just my experience. And there's nothing wrong with my experience. Yeah. But tolerance for me is not just looking at you going, okay, I'm going to put up with what you believe. It's I'm going to allow you as a friend to even impact my belief.
That's so good, bro.
Yeah.
Understanding starts the moment we open up and say, man, I got different experiences than you, and maybe some of the stuff I was taught wasn't right, and I had to do some of the same things. And I think even as we learn to be tolerant because we love each other, which I think is a cool fundamental piece of this, which is my love for you, your love for me is part of what helps us want to see one another well. I think there are certain things that we still don't agree 100% on. You know what I'm saying? Like, we can talk about it, and when we don't agree, it's okay.
But honestly, I'm at a point now with our friendship and tolerance where it's like, even if I don't agree with you on something, nobody's gonna know it but you and me.
Absolutely.
I'm just the way it is.
Bro, we're not finna get out here and go back and forth about stuff. It's just, we know, and when we had those conversations, none of them are contentious.
No,
you know
never.
what I'm saying? Like,
but unfortunately for the world, they can be.
Yeah.
And that's why it's always just between me and you. You know, publicly, I love you enough now that even if I disagree with you, I'm gonna have your back in public. And I think that's important for people to do.
And that's not just because of the pastor relationship, it's because of the brotherhood. It's like,
love is deeper than belief.
Bro, y'all write that down in your notes. That's crazy good. He said he dropped the gem so quick you didn't realize it was a gem. Love is deeper than belief. Love is deeper than belief, man. If shared beliefs are strong enough to dictate not that you love, but how you love people, then it's not love for real.
Yep. And honestly, too, if we would have just fought each other against our disagreements, even Eagles, Cowboys.
He's an Eagles fan, y'all. Jesus God.
But if we would have fought ourselves, I would have missed out on the closest brother I got in my life over stupid beliefs. And that's why I understand, even through you and I, how much more important love is, to the point where it's like, I do care what you believe, but honestly I don't, like, because we believe the fundamentals, Jesus, and all the other stuff. It's just for us to learn from each other.
Bro, I think about the story of the Good Samaritan, the parable that Jesus tells so often, because when that man was hurting, I don't think he cared what the person that helped him believed. You know what I'm saying? Like, he is bleeding out on the side of the road. I don't think he cared at all what that person who nursed him back to health believed. I think he cared that person cared enough to show them love
and understand where they are. And I think even with us, it shifted me to, like, I need to go meet some Muslim friends. I need to go meet some people in the LGBT community. I want to know where they are.
That's it, man.
Because, gosh, that's what Jesus did.
That's what Jesus. I tell people, bro, I don't have to share your conviction to love you well.
Exactly.
I don't have to see the scripture the same way you see it to love you well.
And I don't got to fight you either.
Who wants to spend all day fighting, bro? It's it's exhausting, man. And it does not, for me, we do a bigger disservice to the purpose of the kingdom when we're publicly fighting each other
100%.
About stuff that really, in the grand scheme,
agree.
Bro, let me tell y'all something. Listen to me. And I'm about to go back to this dress thing because it's the easiest example I feel like I can use without offending people now because it's old news. I don't think Jesus is going to care about a dress when we get to heaven. I don't think that there's going to be a big deal in the framework of eternity. And I think we spend so much time mismanaging disagreement that we're making mountains out of things that Jesus ain't even thinking about.
I firmly believe we're going to get to heaven someday and he's going to look at us and go, you cared about a dress and drove past 5 people with nothing in the refrigerator.
Bruh, we got bigger fish to fry.
Yeah, I mean.
Like.
There's hungry people right now and we're out here about a dress. Yeah.
And that's the thing I think that aligns us. So, but I'll ask this too. How do you think people can stay true to their convictions while also trying to be tolerant with other people? Like you just mentioned, you know, how you go out and now try to meet people and engage people and develop relationships with people of different beliefs, of different backgrounds. How do you maintain your own convictions as you're learning to love people who are different?
I think there's two things. I think, the Bible's very clear that you can move mountains. You can have faith that moves mountains. You can speak in tongues of angels, but without love, you're just a sounding gong.
That's the book.
And like, I don't know. For me, it's without love, none of it matters anyway.
Yeah, man.
And a lot of the stuff I see, a lot of the Christians that I see, I don't feel love in their arguments. I don't feel like they actually care about people. It's like we're all just trying to get our point across.
Yeah.
And so when I actually go into conversations now, I have a very good Muslim friend who I talk to all the time now. Mm-hmm. I go into conversations with them about like, hey, I'm coming in this to discuss with you, but to learn from you.
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest thing. Most people go into conversations of disagreement with, I'm going to prove my point to you. I have tried to shift my spirit to, I'm going to walk in, and I think I've called you multiple times because of I'm a white, I don't know if you noticed, but I'm a white boy, and I most of my life is in black communities. And so Pastor Chris has been my go-to, like, hey, explain to me how I should handle this situation. Yeah. And that sort of thing. And so I think it's learning, going into the conversation and saying, I want to learn from you. I don't want to argue with you. I'm not going to prove my point. I'm going to give you my point.
Yeah.
But
I don't have... The Bible says God draws us with loving kindness. And mm-hmm. I think we spend more time trying to draw people with correct points, not with loving kindness.
I give Pastor Chris my points for him to show me flaws in them.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's important. I'm like, okay, here's what I see. Tell me what's wrong with this.
Yeah.
Because if you don't have somebody in your life that's different than you, you're going to stay the same.
Yeah, man.
And so Chris is like a growth wheel for me where it's like, okay, tell me what's wrong with my point of view. And by the time I'm done with Pastor Chris, I'm like, wow, I got a whole different point of view.
And bro, to the same point, same with you. Like, I think our season in that space was the first time in my life I wasn't living in an echo chamber. Mm-hmm. And it forced me to learn how to be sure of what I believe.
Yeah.
Because it's easy to say what you believe when everybody around you thinks like you. It's real hard when you go into a space where nobody thinks like you. Mm-hmm. But then I learned in that same space, the same lessons you talked about. Let me learn to be understanding. I got some people who, and we jokingly talked about it before we started shooting, like some people who I am vastly different from, some kids that we got to pour into together, that I am vastly different from. Some of y'all have seen me have conversations under my own post with some people that I deeply love and tell y'all, don't jump on them because I love them, right? And even though we don't agree, I love them and will still, go out of my way for them. I learned that my way of thinking was my way of thinking because of my experience, and people wouldn't care to know about my experience if I didn't care to understand theirs. Mm-hmm. And bro, like as we said and talked, and just it's even funny how now, there are certain things about our lives that share human experience, some major grief points, some major hard personal and professional things that we've both gone through similarly. And it's like, to know that in those moments, if I ain't got nobody,
I got you.
I got you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
it's like,
huge.
And who cares about the differences when it's like, nah, bro, when the rubber meets the road, I know.
And I would say this too, this is something I've learned now that I've been at Antioch. The most segregated time of the week in America is Sunday.
That's right. That's Dr. King said.
And it's still true to this day. I would say, I'm not saying leave your home church or anything. Go to a church that's different than you. Because I've learned so much more being at Antioch and understanding, and you learned so much out of Trinity.
Yeah.
So getting out of your bubble and going somewhere different, I think is huge for growth.
It's necessary.
And I get people, honestly, I don't know if you know this, but I get people call me all the time, do you really feel welcome at Antioch? I'm like, it's the most friendly place on the planet. And you should come visit. You can find me pretty easy, but it's just a really great church, and it's helped me grow by getting outside of my bubble. Denominations, it's organized brokenness, and it's just because we don't want to.
Sheesh.
We're not growing. We just want to stick around people that we believe the same.
And bro, organized brokenness is another bar, bro. Jeremy drops so many bars. I don't even know y'all paying attention to him. Now, again, this is a fact. This is not me trying to be intentionally polarizing, but there's a reason why segregation in the church exists, and it's not because black folks segregated it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? If you look at most of the major reformations,
the denomination I grew up in was started by a black man, and they moved to get away from him.
They kicked the black man essentially out of his own movement, right? And so, to that end, about learning to share space, I think one of the things that we've seen really in American and specifically in Western American religion is that the expectation is always for the minority to go to the church where the majority is and then conform to that thing, which is how we met.
One of the biggest things you ever said to me that still drives me crazy because I see it now is when you said, y'all love when black people come to white evangelical churches as long as they don't act like black people.
Y'all,
and I went,
not y'all. It's not y'all.
Sorry,
it's those spaces. But the truth is, it's like bring your gift, don't bring your culture.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, like bring your gift, don't bring your experience. And I think now this is not to make this episode about black church, white church.
It's not. But I'm just saying.
I am about to bring up a point, just for the sake of the hearer, so you can run tell that. But you saw that experience for me. Like there was the direct quote to me was when it was time for me to transition away from that space, I needed the direct quote. I needed to be in a place where I didn't have to conform. Because I fought like y'all not, and I was very clear. I am who I am, and y'all not changing me.
Yeah.
Right. Now here's the inverse of that. Now you've come into a black space, and like.
Can I tell you something though? Nobody's asked me to conform here.
Well, what do you know?
But I mean, not. I mean, in a way too, though, it's like nobody's ever said like, "Hey, who do you vote for? What do you like?" Besides me and you and our talks, I don't hear that from my church family, which I would gladly talk about it. But it's just a different world over here. It's not one of the key proponents to. And unfortunately, a lot of the evangelical world has gone that way, where it's like nationalism is one of the foundational keys to the church.
Yeah, bro. So. It's true. And I think that's what tolerance is. Not always asking people to come to you, but you going out of your way to go to them. Like, that's what Jesus did, right? Yeah. Like, Jesus goes to us. The whole idea of incarnation is the one who sits above coming to us below.
Right.
And I think that's what you just expressed in saying, not just you're coming and you become a part and are literally ingrained and entrenched in this church culture, but even in some of the friendships you have.
Yeah.
I'm going to people who, in the pecking order of American society, are considered to be less than. Bro, that's your whole ministry work, bro, and which is one of the things I honor about you. And in the same way, I want to do those same things. I've tried to curate relationships with people who are even more marginalized than me. That's why I try to be an ally to women and, in ministry spaces and all those things. I think finding that common ground is important. Bro, last thing I ask before we get into like the last couple segments, because I want you to speak into those too. What do you want everybody watching, everybody listening to take away from this conversation? Care
about people before you decide you want to give them your opinion.
That's real.
If you can't love them, don't feel like you need to change them.
Yeah, man.
I feel like, and even if you don't feel like you're doing it, a lot of people on both sides come across as they don't care about you. They just care to change your opinion.
Yeah.
And I'll say this about my Muslim friends. It's a husband and wife, and I'll never forget the wife. She dresses in full Muslim attire. And she said to me, we were eating dinner one time, and she said, thank you for not being mean to me, and being willing to sit with me in a restaurant. And I said, what do you mean? And she was like, I can't tell you how many men that look like you, and she looked at me, are very cruel to me because of the way I dress.
Wow.
And I'm thinking, how many of those men that look like me, because it's Texas, go to church every Sunday?
Yeah.
And they just want her to, well, you need to believe in Jesus, woman. And you don't even know who she is. You don't know it's disrespectful to talk to her unless her husband's there. You don't know all of these aspects of their religion. Love people.
Yeah, bro.
And your love for them will change them way more than your opinion will.
Absolutely, bro. I think that's the dichotomy of the historical American church, and even in different ways we see it now. But during the civil rights movement, it was commonplace for the same people who killed black people and lynched them to be deacons in their church. But tolerance, man, is about perspective. And I think about a mentor of mine who says, it is not my job to tell people what to think. It's just my job to make sure that they think. And even if we don't land in the same space, at least we're all thinking and we're open and we're loving. And that's what matters, man.
And Jesus is such an example of that. I mean, here's the crazy thing about Jesus. Jesus wasn't a Christian. He was Jewish. There was people that he wasn't allowed to or supposed to love or supposed to be around that he did.
On purpose.
On purpose.
Yeah, man. So that's what we should do. So, bro, now we're going to transition to the segment that marries theology and music. It is something, that's dear to my heart. This is our Sound and Spirit segment. And so in Sound and Spirit, bro, just conversationally, one of the things I want to talk about is, eclectic music taste. I think, for real, one of the biggest impediments to a lot of people is, like I talked about, this whole idea of the echo chamber, that we listen to or we live in spaces where everything is about us and what, our own preferences. But one of the things that God used to help move me into more tolerant space was people with different musical tastes. So crazy story, bro. I am of the hip hop culture. I grew up around traditional gospel music and on Sundays and hip hop throughout the week. That's the way I just kind of grew up. And then my parents playing old school stuff. My football coach in high school, shout out to Coach Joey McGuire. He's now the head coach at Texas Tech. They had a huge year. He just got paid with a new contract. I'm gonna hit you up for a sponsorship, Joey. Congratulations. But no, we were at Cedar Hill High School, bro. I will never forget it. For boot camp, we used to have boot camp leading into the season. He made us learn. Now, mind you, it is 90 black kids out there.
Yeah.
For boot camp, we had to learn a country song, like word for word. It was called "How Bad Do You Want It?" I think it was Tim McGraw. We had to. So now
that's funny.
Now picture, bro. We're in the middle of lifting weights, and if anytime he put on "How Bad Do You Want It," we had to sing it word for word. So I had never listened to country music before, and that song just kind of became a battle cry for a team south of 75, like
hilarious.
In the inner city. Can you imagine, like, coming to play a football game in Cedar Hill, and here come these
all singing Tim McGraw?
Like it was nuts, bro. But it opens me up to a world that's not my own. And even when we were at Trinity together, like I didn't, and Paul is in the room. He's over here laughing, bro. I hate it, and still don't necessarily have the most fond opinion of CCM.
Yeah.
That's all we did, bro. And then even you've come over and it's like
it's a whole new world for me.
It's a whole new world. So talk to me about, like, when people see you, they probably think you listen to what kind of music? Give me the most eclectic thing about your musical preferences.
I grew up in Philly, so I do still get drawn to the East Coast rap. I grew up in the East Coast, West Coast type.
See, y'all didn't know that.
Yeah,
y'all didn't know that.
I was back in the day. The Diddy documentary made me mad,
Facts.
but I didn't even like him. I liked Biggie, but yeah, I mean, I was a Wu-Tang fan, all that kind of stuff back in the day, and
Pastor Jeremy liked Wu-Tang.
still kind of do.
I love it. Yes,
kinda
you
do.
should.
But I also I don't like the newer country, but because of my grandfather when I was younger, I love the old bar tunes like Waylon Jennings, and David Allan Coe, and like all those old school like '60s. Country,
Bro.
It's got soul to it, man. Johnny Cash.
I love some Johnny Cash.
So I kind of go there, and then I mean, I can do some 90s alternative rock. So I mean, I just grew up a 90s kid, but and I grew up in different worlds. So I love music all over, which made it a little bit more easy for me to adapt into. But I didn't understand why you didn't like it or what was different until I understood gospel.
We may do we may do another episode on CCM and gospel. As a matter of fact, we will. It won't be the next one, but we will do an episode this season about CCM and gospel and my personal kind of,
because that was my one thing in my youth I wasn't diverse in.
Yeah,
I just grew. I mean, I played you a band right before we started. We were like, that is the whitest thing I've ever heard. That's the church I grew up in.
I'm gonna add it to this week's playlist. One of the songs from the group Pastor Jeremy played before we started, I'm gonna add it to this week's playlist.
In the Christian world, the most hip hop thing I had was DC Talk. And,
Toby Mac.
Yeah, but that was it.
Yeah, bro. I think music. The reason y'all know I love music, there's a reason why music is in the name of this podcast. But I think music is so dope because it exposes us to other stories.
It does.
So even as a songwriter myself, like my story, my heart is in what I pen. And when you listen to different sounds, you hear different stories. And God speaks through more than one sound.
Absolutely.
I think that eclectic sound teaches you that difference doesn't mean danger. So fun music story. So when I told, like Pastor Jimmy told y'all, we used to have some hard conversations, and Paul's in the room. I hope Tim is watching. Paul's dad, Tim. I love Tim. Tim is like my white pops. We grew up, I grew up since I was 17, having Tim as a mentor, and we would have knockdown, drag out conversations about all the stuff happening in the world, like politically, socially.
I could hear them in the other room.
Spiritually, like we would argue. I mean, just about different things. And I like to this day, if anybody messes with Tim Ferguson, you got to come see me about it. But what I would do is, like, and I'm bringing this up for a reason because, like I said, difference even musically doesn't mean danger. And I told you, like, it's all CCM. My boy Micah calls it Lord of the Daffodils music. Everything is all just woo, boy.
It is depressing now that I've kind of pulled out of it a little bit.
I told you, bro.
Yeah.
I think there's a causal link. Yeah. But anyway, I'm not going to.
I don't want to sloppy white kiss Jesus either.
I can't wait. I can't wait to the episode. But whenever things would get bad for me, I would go in my office, and the walls were as thin as tissue paper, and turn up Kendrick Lamar's All Right to the top. I mean, as loud as my speaker would go, I would literally blast All Right. We gonna be all right. Like bassing and bumping in that office. And it was like, oh, Chris is mad, but it'll be fine. We're not in danger. Everybody's okay, but he'll be fine in a minute. Because difference doesn't mean danger. No. You know what I'm saying? And so you learn, man. So this week,
and now I rock a lot for when I'm like in Jesus time. I mean, I listen to secular music, but
y'all know
I rock a lot of gospel.
It's great. Yeah. I'm so glad to invite you over to the gospel side of things. Even Paul likes gospel now. But Paul also has us singing all kind of other stuff. And I know when Paul helped pick a song. I know when Paul picked a song. But so this week's playlist that I'm going to drop, you can look at, scan the QR code or look in the comments or look in the description. If you're on Apple or Spotify, you can pull this. This is my eclectic playlist, man.
I'll make sure there's some white people music in there.
It's going to be just some of the most random stuff I listen to, running the gamut of all the different genres. And in honor of my dog, my G, Texas Tech head coach Joey McGuire. This week's song of the week is How Bad Do You Want It?
I love it.
This week's song of the week. We're talking about being eclectic, people. We're talking about being tolerant. How Bad Do You Want It by Tim McGraw is this week's Sound and Spirit song of the week. You can download that song right here on this link too. But man, we finna wrap up. Today's been amazing. I'm so glad my brother joined me. But real quick, let's run it down. Every week, I know we do this. Every time we gather, these are the PowerPoints. These are the 5 things you got to take away from today's conversation. Here are your 5 PowerPoints for the day. PowerPoint number 1, tolerance is not agreement, it's maturity. You learn how to tolerate people. It doesn't mean you agree with everything. We talked about it earlier. It's listening with understanding, but it is what mature people do. Only childish people fight about everything they don't agree with. That's what little 5-year-olds do on the playground. It should not be what mature believers do.
Come on.
I can learn, man, that just because I've learned to be in relationship with you does not mean I agree with every single thing you do, but it is the sign and evidence of maturity. Number 2, PowerPoint number 2. Peace begins with personal responsibility. That's what Paul said. If at all possible, you make the choice to live peaceably with all men. My choice to live at peace with somebody has nothing to do with their decisions toward me. They can disagree, they can fight, they can argue. Me choosing to live at peace is my responsibility, not theirs. When I choose to be at peace, then there's nobody else who should have the power to take that choice from me. If it's up to you, Paul says, you live peaceably. Number 3, man, here's PowerPoint number 3. You can hold your convictions without hostility. You can believe what you want to believe without being hostile. But what are you so angry about? Why are you so mad that they don't think like you? I think hostility in terms of convictions is insecurity, and you think, and I think that means you know what you believe ain't that strong. If I got to get angry that you don't believe like I believe, then it might mean that I don't believe deeply enough in what I said I believe. I'm so sure about what I believe that I don't have to be mad if you don't believe it. I'm sure of it. Because I'm sure of it, I don't got to be hostile to somebody who disagrees. My faith is sure. My convictions are sure. And that means I don't have to feel them with hostility. I can feel my convictions with love. I think my computer died. That's all right. I have this on my phone. Don't edit this out, guys. This is real stuff. This is real life. So, PowerPoint number 4. I was at number 4, right? PowerPoint number 4. Listen, y'all hear me. PowerPoint number 4 is that listening is a spiritual discipline. Learning to listen to people, not just listening to God. One of the greatest spiritual disciplines we can all learn in this season is how to listen. Not hear for the sake of argument, but listening with the purpose of understanding.
Come on.
You mean to tell me you hear God deeply, but don't listen to people at all? There's a disconnect in that for me. One of the greatest things we can learn how to do as a spiritual discipline is to really listen to other people for the sake of understanding them. And finally, PowerPoint number 5, diversity deepens faith. There is something that is so marking to me in what Revelation says in describing heaven. John's vision is every kindred, every tribe, every tongue. What John sees in heaven blows his mind because it is so diverse. So many different expressions of worship, so many different cultural identities, so many different walks of life. Diversity is part of God's intentional design. If God wanted us to all be the same, he would have just stopped when he made the one person he wanted to make. Diversity matters to God because diversity deepens our faith. My relationship with God is stronger because of my relationship with Jay. this is what it is. This diversity has deepened my faith. It's helped me to see God differently. I see God in my brother in ways I hadn't seen God before in my own echo chamber. I think he expressed some of the same things.
Yes, vice versa, for sure.
So those are the PowerPoints. Y'all tell me which one stood out to you. Man, that's the episode for today, but I'm not going to get out of here without praying for you. So let's pray real quick. Lord, make us more tolerant. Teach us to live at peace with one another. Forgive us for the moments that we cause division on purpose. Forgive us for living in the polarizing space. Teach us how to hold our convictions in a way that does not make our conviction more important than our love. Help us to represent you well in the way we tolerate other people. And help us to see and call out intolerance so that the world will know what the church should really look like. In the name of Jesus. Amen. Jay, thanks for hanging with me, bro.
I love you even though you're a Cowboys fan.
Yo, this is episode 2 of AMP. I'll see you next time. Peace.